Gobble. 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 Welcome to Fantasy Football Podcast, Thanksgiving edition.
I'm translating for all the turkeys out there. How's everybody doing? Hope you're having a good Thanksgiving. We've got a jam-packed episode today. There's so much to talk about. We missed last week. This has been a recurring theme for us. We have a week or off a week, have a week.
It sounds like we might have more things to do in 2021 than 2020.
Yeah, just a little bit. But we've got peaks of the week for you for week 10 and 11. We've got playoff reactions and what happened there. We've got the playoff projections of what we think is going to happen. And then a special segment at the end. So let's get going. So peaks of the week.
Yeah, and I'd like to write down when Brandon plans for it, he makes it weak, W-E-A-K.
Like, I'm so weak.
All right, week 10.
Week 10. That was a disappointing week for me.
Also disappointing for me.
Yeah.
So week 10, it was a high score for Jenna of 166.
Yeah. Which, great for week 10. Don't do that again, though. It's playoff time.
Jenna beat Brian for his worst loss of 56. But the low score goes to me.
Yep, you had 78.
78.
But it was...
not that embarrassing.
It wasn't that embarrassing.
Because my opponent, the leader of the league, Gregory, scored a mere 81. So I only lost by 3 points.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the nature of what you lost, or how you lost, will actually come up in a little bit. But at the top of the mountain, best player of week 10 was Patrick Mahomes.
To Jenna.
Jenna was playing him. You have to play Mahomes to begin with, but Mahomes figured it out that week. He had been struggling a little bit, still is kind of struggling a little bit, but that week he figured it out. And the valleys of that week, the people who just had abysmal scores, tight ends. What happened? Gesicki and Hawkinson playing each other. Chris and William both put up 0 points.
0.
How does that happen?
And then me, I had a devastating situation where I had, on Friday, Robert Woods, who is my best receiver on the Rams, he went down with a torn ACL.
Out for the season. I
had already played in my flex position the Miami wide receiver, Waddle. So I couldn't adjust my lineup to put a running back into my flex.
And we always tell you every week that we're on here, if you've got a player playing on Thursday, it doesn't matter if they're good or bad, get them out of your flex. Because once you use that flex, you lose options.
So whenever I couldn't play Robert Woods and I couldn't put Antonio Gibson in my flex, I had to pick someone up from just like the
You just found
players.
a waiver.
So I found Russell Gage, who proceeded to put up 0 points. He only needed to put up 3 for me to win against Gregory.
That's like one reception.
Very pissed off because in week 11 he ended up putting up 11. He ended up putting 9 points in week 11.
Yeah.
So it was just very infuriating. So I lost my best wide receiver, Robert Woods. Lost to Gregory by having the lowest score. It was just a really sad week. And Brandon got to gloat the whole time because he said I didn't follow his advice.
Because you lost that week. It wasn't your receiver that went down.
My bench player, Antonio Gibson, put up 20 points.
She is still so salty about this. She lost that week, though. That wasn't my players didn't do something. It was just unfortunate. She lost it because she played someone in a flex position on a Thursday night, which you never, ever do. It's always like, that won't happen to me. That's a loss. And she doesn't have to buy anymore.
Oh, we'll get there. We'll get there when we get to playoff reactions. We'll talk more about that circumstance.
Yeah.
But week 10, really not great for me.
Yeah. That was a trip. You fell down hard. Week 11, though. What happens in week 11? High score of that week goes to myself. I put up a lovely 176. I think that was the second time I've hit peak of the week this year for a high score. How many times have you done that?
You know what? You really shouldn't gloat that much. Gregory is
I know Gregory is going to crush us all. For the low score of the week, that honor goes to Sherry and Stu. Only put up 86. But the worst loss did go to Ant-Man.
Against Brandon.
He was playing me. He lost by 80 because he was going against me. What are you going to do? Top of the mountain that week.
Leading to Brandon's very high score.
And the reason why I scored so high, Jonathan Taylor for the Colts put up 53.4 points, had 5 touchdowns on the day.
Just a ridiculous score all around.
Yeah, like that's insane. Sorry, Austin Eckler, 4 touchdowns isn't going to get it done. Like, you need that 5th. You got to be good. So sorry about that, Gregory. In the Valley, though, while Week 10 was all about tight ends, the Valley of Week 11 was kickers.
Bad kicker week.
There were 2 kickers with 0 points. Chase McLaughlin from Anthony and Tyler Bass from Will. They both had 0s. Randy Bullock, Nick played him. He had 1, and Matt Prater had 3. So, like, what is going on with kickers?
Really terrible kicker week.
Well, meanwhile, other kickers had like 16. I think like Full for New England put up like 16 points. But yeah, kickers were really weird last week. So yeah, that's what's going on there. Now let's work it over and let's talk about our playoff reactions.
Playoff reactions.
Okay,
so let's talk about the first 2 big ones. Is who clinched the buys, which was our dominant Gregory. Gregory is just dominant. Highest score, 9-2. Also, his points for is 100 above everybody else's.
Yes, if you look at the points for here, his points for are in the 1500s.
No one else made it there.
Nobody else made it to 1500s.
Yeah. Just dominant.
Just ridiculous. He's on a 9-game win streak, by the way. Gregory started the season off 0-2, picks up Cordell Patterson for week 3, and then runs it to the house all the way.
So he really deserves his
crazy stuff.
His seed 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
seed 2. I lost out to seed 2 by 1.6 points.
Look at this.
So Nick and I ended up with the same record because I ended up my season with 2 terrible losses.
You're on a losing streak. You're going down. You're going down here.
When Nick, on the other hand, goes on a 2-game winning streak to tie me up, and then he beat me in points for by 1.6 points. Now let's talk back to that Russell Gage discussion.
Ho ho!
If I had just played not made that flex play situation,
well, that changes,
I would have won.
That changes things drastically too, because not only would you have won,
I would have one of the higher points.
You'd go to 8-3.
Yeah.
Gregory would pull down to 8-3. He'd still end up having the first seed because his points for is so much higher. But you'd be 8-3. Nick couldn't compete with that because he's not there. So yeah, it would have made things a lot different. Amanda would have had to buy. It's these little moves that cost seasons.
Brandon and I were actually watching. We were watching the Sunday night Chargers game because I had Justin Herbert in, and I was looking because at that point I had lost to Will, but Justin Herbert was in, and if I scored like 128 or 100, if I had scored like 129 the week of,
you needed Herbert to do a little bit more.
I didn't need to win to like make the bye, but I needed Herbert.
You needed Herbert to do more.
But he did so much. He scored like 40 points. And that game was crazy. He ended up, I don't know if anyone watched the Steelers versus Charger game. I'm sure a lot of you did.
The thing is Amanda was down by like 6 points against Nick, and then Herbert goes on this like 40-yard rushing attempt and then puts in a touchdown immediately after, and it's like, well, you just made things interestingly close. But
it didn't work out.
In the end, you really needed the Steelers to tie that game, put it into overtime.
I did. If the Steelers had put that game into overtime, I would have probably been in the 2nd seed right now.
Oh, no. But yeah, coulda, woulda, shoulda. With that, though, the Commander-in-Chief takes the 3rd spot.
I kind of deserve it, though. My points for is really not that great.
It is not impressive.
It's really not. Like, Gregory's is amazing. Jenna's and Brandon's is better than mine.
Let's look at a player that didn't make playoffs that has a better points for.
Yeah.
Julie.
Judge, this is incredible.
Who's gone on a 3-game win streak and had an opportunity. She still had an opportunity to make playoffs. If I would have lost against Anthony, who put up, a score sub 100 last week, if I would have lost to him, then Julie put up a high enough score. She would have actually catapulted herself into playoffs.
Julie actually has a higher points for than Chris, me, and Nick. So she's actually the 4th player overall when it comes to points for. She should totally.
She has a better team.
She should be in the playoffs.
She has a better team, despite giving up her best players to Uncle Rob, which was a weird way of sabotage. Yeah, she should be in playoffs right here. But what are you gonna do? That's why we talk about how whenever you're in this season, and we talked about this in the beginning of the year, like you're looking for 6 wins. Yeah. 6 wins get you in. You can do it with 5 and 6, but things have to fall your way. So if you get to that point where you're trying to scramble for a win, if you need to make a big trade and get rid of like, some decent people on your bench to just try to secure one victory might be the only thing you need.
Jenna's really showed us that, chaos theory can almost work.
Oh yeah. I mean, when she got into the playoffs on a 5-6 record, goes all the way to the championships, and then beats the 10-1 pepperoni and sausage and claims a championship, like boom. Now Gregory's probably like sweating in his boots right now.
We'll get there. Let's go to let's talk about our playoff projections.
Yeah, but following out from that, we've got myself in Sleep 4, Jenna in 5, so we're going to be matched up, and then Amanda's going to be taking on Chris in the week 1. So let's look then, like you said.
The playoff bracket.
It's playoff bracket time. So here's the bracket.
Gregory not playing, Nick not playing.
Bye. And
Brandon said that he told me that he is pretty thankful that I didn't get the bye because he didn't want to hear me gloat about not playing for the next 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. Because these playoffs go for 2 weeks for each of these matchups. So this first week is actually very important. Let's say Amanda's playing Chris and she doesn't put up a good number this week, but Chris does. Next week, she's playing high impact players just to try to catch up those points. So very interesting format this year. We've never done this.
I think of Chris as my nemesis.
Oh, he is your nemesis.
I'm sure he doesn't think of me in the same way. But Chris is my nemesis, and I'm excited to play him. However, even though my points for is not the highest, I do have a higher points for in total than Chris does. So I think I have a good chance.
Yours is an even matchup.
To beat him.
Let's go into these a little bit more and just see what's going on here. So this is the... What was that?
Sneeze.
Did you just fight back a sneeze?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm pretty sure your head's going to explode now. That's dangerous. You shouldn't do that. Don't do that, people. I couldn't do that. If I sneeze in the middle of this stream, like YouTube would go down. Okay, so here are the projections. When did she go 140? She was at 134 like last night.
She's better than you.
Okay, I'm not digging that. This changes everything. Okay, so here's how things pan out here. She's playing Tyrod Taylor, which is saving me because she's got Mahomes on bye this week. I've got Lamar there, so that's good for me. Both of our running back situations are fairly strong. David Johnson is not as strong as Robinson, in my opinion. And
ESPN agrees with you.
Yeah, and Jonathan Taylor could always go off. Unfortunately, he's going up against the #1 run defense in Tampa Bay.
He don't care.
Yeah, he don't care. He don't care. Watch this. Belichick, watch this. Here I come. I'm going to carry the ball. Touchdown. Watch, I'm going to eat those words. Eat them like Thanksgiving turkey.
Well, Jonathan Taylor didn't care that the Bills had a good defense.
Oh, good point. Yeah, good point. But you got to play your studs in the playoffs, so I'm playing him. She's killing me in this wideout and tight end situation, though. She's got Deebo Samuel. Crazy wideout. A.J. Brown has put up some great numbers this year with Tennessee. And then in the tight end spot, she's got Darren Waller, who is a great tight end. He's only put up sub 10 twice this year, so he's going to score great. On the other side, I'm playing a bunch of like backups and weird hodgepodges. I've got Darnell Mooney for Chicago, who I picked up on waivers in a desperation move. Because I think Amari Cooper was like out last week. And then I picked up Michael Gallup on waivers, who's been out most of the year.
We've never had a good tight end.
But I picked up Gallup because Amari's out with COVID and CeeDee Lamb has a possibility of being out, so I might not even play him today. I don't know. But he might be Dallas's last hope. I'm also playing Dalton Schultz, who's also a Dallas tight end, who I picked up on waivers in the middle of the season, who put up some decent numbers, but nothing consistent.
I mean, no one's impressed.
Yeah. And I got Elijah Moore from the New York Jets. Like, but he's put up a few good games, so I'm hoping to just ride the hot streak. Because while Mike Williams put up a decent game last week with the Chargers, that game got out of hand. So I'm like dying here in these 4 spots. Jonathan Taylor, please.
Jenna really knows how to ride the waivers and craft a really good team by the end. You really need to make sure Jenna doesn't make the playoffs to make sure she doesn't win. Gregory must be kind of sweating because if you actually look at the bracket, Gregory is going to have to play the winner of Brandon and Jenna.
If
And
it is Jenna,
I'm sorry. Jenna and Brandon are better than me and Chris. So Gregory has a harder situation than Nick does.
And I can't
And
remember this.
I'm just not worried about Chris. I mean, I'm not really that worried about Chris.
Oh, you're going to
and
lose.
I'm not worried about Nick that much either.
You're going to lose, and then it's going to be Chris and Nick playing each other again, which like just happened. But I can't remember if our league is like this. And this is a commission's corner right here. I thought our league at one point in time reseeded after these games. So like if Chris beats you, Chris would play Gregory, and then like whoever won here would go down and play Nick. I don't know if our league is like that. I need clarification from the commish. So commish, like let us know. And if it is like that, that's the commish messing with the league, because he should have to play me or Jenna and fight for that championship. Which, by the way, he's the only one in this bracket here who's never won a championship. So
yeah, Gregory, we're rooting for you.
No, I'm not.
I mean, I'm rooting for him.
I'm rooting for me.
I'm actually rooting for Gregory.
I'm
all about this 9 different champion situation.
I'm in the playoffs. Going for a victory.
I'm also in the playoffs.
Okay, so looking at this matchup though, back to the matchups between Jenna and myself, it's gonna be close.
Jenna's gonna beat you.
If things go averages week to week, she's gonna win. But I'm really hoping that one of these players goes off in the 2-week period, and I play some catch up and then take over. Let's take a look at the Uncle Chris and Amanda matchup. Much lower projections here, much weaker teams. Amanda, though, has got all these check marks here to wash on tight ends.
That's only because I have to play. I don't actually. My tight end is Travis Kelce. I picked up Pat Fryermuth from Pittsburgh.
What a great
tight
pickup.
ends like 3 weeks ago, because I thought if I didn't make the playoffs, I would want a good tight end option. And it's actually going to be great because Eric Ebron, the other tight end for the Steelers, is out. And Ben Roethlisberger and Pat Fryermuth have actually started connecting.
Yeah.
Fryermuth has scored multiple touchdowns recently, so this is going to be a really good stand-in.
Muth is a good pickup for tight end for a plug there. He's really doing some good stuff. Chris's team, looking at it right now, he has the opportunity to go big in a few players. If Najee gets the carries, he could put up good weeks. Back-to-back could bring him back up, catching up with Amanda. Robbie Anderson, while you look at that and you're like, wow, that's not a great wideout. Carolina just got Cam Newton back, and Cam Newton put up a great last week, although he was thrown to DJ Moore, who you have over here. So looking at this matchup, the Carolina games are very important, because if Anderson gets it, that's points Chris is getting, and Amanda's not getting them. Looking at some other pieces here, there's a little bit going on with Miami between Waddle and Gesicki. Or Gesicki, because those same teams right there. And other than that, it's leaning towards Amanda. You got Herbert.
The Herbs.
He could put up a 40-point game.
He's playing a backup, Trevor Siemian.
Not great there. So you can blame the fact that there aren't a lot of quarterbacks sitting on the waiver wires due to some people claiming 3 quarterbacks for their bench. Not me.
Is that Rob?
That might be Uncle Rob. He has a tendency to do that.
But also, I would like to say that Rob last week paid Ben Roethlisberger when Aaron Rodgers put up something crazy.
Oh, yeah. Aaron Rodgers put up like a crazy points. Like, don't play Big Ben.
Anyways.
So this is leaning towards Amanda right now. But, like, we'll see how this plays out, because we have seen, some hiccups throughout all of this.
Let's take a quick look at the consolation ladder.
Yep, let's go look at consolation bracket, which actually does have great meaning. Remember, if you win out on the consolation ladder, you get first round draft pick, or I'm sure if you bother the commissioner, you can get wherever you want within the draft. So if you want like the 3rd pick, go ahead. Or if you really want that number 1 pick, get Jonathan Taylor or Derrick Henry when it comes back next year. You got to win out here. Or CMC, right?
Julie, we're rooting for you.
I think she's going to win it.
I think you're going to win the consolation ladder. William was a good competitor, but the loss of Derrick Henry is just substantial.
Yeah, and so one other thing I'd like to talk about, and this happens for both William's team, the Sharknadoes, and for Ant-Man's team. If you actually go and take a deep dive into their teams, you'll see that William is playing 3, maybe 4 Minnesota Vikings players. I think his 4th one's like the kicker.
Feast or famine.
That's a feast or famine team, because if you're stacking your quarterbacks throwing to your wideout, and if you get that touchdown, you get points on both of them, which is great. But when you put that 3rd player in a wideout spot, what happens is your quarterback can only throw the touchdown to 1 wideout. So while one of them's like getting all those points, the other one's like, hey, can I have some help? On weeks where Minnesota does great, William does great because there's enough points to go around. But on average weeks, William struggled, and whenever he lost Derrick Henry, his stock went down.
And speaking of feast or famine, I actually had a feast or famine team last year because
Yeah.
I had Russell Wilson with Tyler Lockett.
Oh yeah, but they feasted so hard.
But I ended up it can work for you, and I ended up winning the league last year. It can work for you, but it can be
Well, the thing with that is that was just a single stack. You had Wilson and Lockett, which is great. But imagine having Wilson, Lockett, and Metcalf. That means if Lockett's playing great, where are the points for Metcalf? If Metcalf's doing good, where are Lockett's points? So you don't ever want to hurt your own team in that. So I always recommend a stack
Did
or
I
like
have Metcalf?
you didn't. I had him.
Oh, okay.
So if you're gonna stack, like that's a fine thing to do. It's a good strategy, especially in like DFS things if you're playing those, Brian.
And then Anthony is just becoming the new Uncle Rob, but for Cleveland.
Yeah, Anthony's playing a ton of Cleveland players, so he's got a stack on a stack on a stack.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, sure, you're going to get some points, but you're not diverse enough, and you're not riding all of the peaks to head up. So just something to think about for next year. But we're rooting for Julie here. She caused enough chaos. Honestly, I'd love if Julie and Uncle Rob went to the finals in this and had to play there. That'd be hilarious.
So do you want to end our segment with a totally different
Yeah, totally different
Thanksgiving
thing.
edition?
Okay, so here's our special thing for Thanksgiving. It's what we're thankful for on Thanksgiving, and we've got a bunch of things we're thankful for here.
We're going to start off with Gregory, what we're thankful for.
The commish.
Gregory, our commissioner, you have crafted a competitive league that has led to 8 different champions and a potential for 9.
Potential.
Gregory?
Potential. And we're thankful for Nick for completely changing the league. Back when he won the championship when he wasn't supposed to. It completely created a new league for us where everybody plays everybody. And it's a really cool format that we didn't have before.
There previously, we had home and away teams. And
you were in divisions and like you only played some other people.
And that year, Nick made the playoffs when teams that had winning records didn't make the playoffs, and we were like, none of this. So, Nick, thank you for changing the entire league.
We are thankful for that.
Will,
thank you. Thank you, Will.
for your consistent use of auto draft, this year it allowed people to have quarterbacks when you didn't.
Yeah, this year, William once again auto drafted. Maybe it's his strategy. Maybe he has great faith in the ESPN auto draft selector, but it didn't pick a quarterback until like the 14th round or something like that.
I think it picked like Justin Fields or something for him.
And I don't even know, but who turned out not to be terrible. But thank you for that because it allowed everybody to get who they wanted. To Uncle Rob, thank you. We are thankful for you consistently picking and playing Big Ben.
You're really making sure his stock value stays up.
The stock of Big Ben will forever be in the positive because of you. You know, I think the Steelers, there's tendencies to start thinking like, oh, Big Ben might be done. But you playing him each week, they might bring him back again just for you. So thank you for consistently doing that. We're thankful.
Jenna, you know, when you entered the league, you really challenged us.
Ugh.
You and all your actual football skill and knowledge.
It makes our life difficult.
We genuinely fear you. And as a result, we have to be better.
I don't know if I'm thankful for that.
Especially right now, playing.
It hurts.
Anthony.
Thank you for being the family scheduler. We've got this podcast, we've got our group chats, but there is something amazing and super genuinely fun about getting together as a family in person and just going at it and bantering and bickering over our fantasy league. And while COVID has kept us from doing that a little bit, the fact that, you know, you always schedule things and fun activities for us, like, we're super thankful for it. It's always super awesome and fun. Keep it up, and we'll keep you in the league.
Thank you, Anthony.
To Brian.
Jenna thanks you for your
Jenna.
hatred of the Las Vegas Raiders because now she has the incredible Darren Waller.
Yeah. And I'm just thankful for you that you hate Derek Carr as much as me. I hate him.
Sherry and Stu, thank you for joining our league and keeping us having a full league and making it more fun with the entire family.
Yeah, they had a rookie season, right? So it's hard to come into a very established league where you have such great players in it. But they had some great upsets this year.
Mm-hmm.
They learned how the league kind of works. They had some waivers. They had some adjustments they had to make on the fly.
They joined the family banter.
but they joined Family Banter. They put in competitive teams each week, and I think they did a fantastic job this year. And I'm super excited to get them back next season and see what they do.
Julie.
Julie.
You
The
know,
Dark Lord.
You really made the most diabolical trade we've ever seen.
What a fantastic
So dramatic.
and entertaining season. Julie just comes in and what was it, week 7? She's like,
I'll trade my entire team.
watch me flip this table. Bam! And then the table lands back and all the pieces fall in the new spots. And she's like, I'm going for the playoff run. So much drama, so much action this year.
We're sorry you didn't actually make it.
It would have been amazing.
You deserved it.
Yeah, the fun was there. And to Uncle Chris, there's a saying in here, if you're familiar with Mike Tomlin and the Steelers, the standard is the standard. Uncle Chris set the standard for what a good team is. He has one of the most consistent winning seasons, and in year 1, he put up a record of 13-2 and won the championship. And because of that, Gregory had the option of last week of just not actually playing and kind of trying to work the matchups into his favor. But then he'd be 8-3 on the trophy if he happens to win. There's a lot of people 8-3.
Actually, yeah, there's a couple that are 7-4. Me and Rob are 7-4.
Yeah, and there's 5-6, 2 of them there. But
no, Nick was actually 7-7.
Oh, you're right. Nick was 7-4.
But Jenna was 5-6.
Yeah, Jenna's 5-6. But the fact that Uncle Chris set the standard of this is a good team, this is how you win a championship, like a true champion. Thank you for that. It keeps us always trying to achieve that, always trying to put up new high scores, and I don't think we're ever going to be able to get to the standard he set, but it's definitely there.
And then we want to thank the entire family.
Yes.
For the group chats and the family banter that goes on. By being able to be in this group chat together and continually talk to each other, it's just so wonderful always be able to talk and chat and laugh together.
Yeah, it's so
and we
great.
Consistently keep it up, and I just love it about this whole league.
Yeah, and we know on this podcast we poke fun and we have, we make jokes and we rag on Anthony a lot. But seriously, this is so much fun being in this league. And we're thankful for all of you for continuing to play and having such a great time with it, and talking and just, keeping us all together, especially in the past 2 years where it's been so hard to do things with COVID. Mm-hmm. So we're super thankful to all of you.
And final remarks, go Gregory.
No, that's not final remarks. Final remarks are go Brandon, go me. Go!